not agree
Meghan,
with
you've already told me you didn't want to go to the courthouse to do it. So how are you going to argue this with them? So
You need to calm down.
no, but just be honest.
He's your hobby.
¿Sabes qué? Si no crees en mí,
Yo no dije que no creo en
ya,
mí.
solo te digo, si no crees en mí,
No.
yo te pruebo.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. It looks like there may be trouble in paradise for our couples today. Meghan and John, who many people didn't even think would make it this far, and Clayton and Anali, who don't appear to be on the same page. So what's the story? What have these guys been up to? Well, let's kick off with John and Meghan.
So for the last about 10 months, I've been living here with Meghan. I knew I was madly in love with her, so I figured make the next step.
And that next step, as you may recall, is when John got down on one knee at the tell-all and proposed to Meghan. Now, throughout the years, we've got to know John a little bit. It's safe to say when we first met him, when he was involved in Patrick and Thais' storyline, he was a lovable rogue. And the more we got to know him, especially with his own segment on the single life, he really became a fan favourite. John's a no-nonsense, say-it-as-it-is kind of guy. No frills, no agenda, he's not out to impress anyone, he's just going to give it to you straight, and I like that about him. But with that also comes some challenges, many challenges in fact. Like take for example his whirlwind romance with Meghan. The pair met online, we were able to see some of their story play out on the single life, but while John was clearly in love with her, he also had his concerns. Like he wasn't sure that he was ready to be a stepdad to her daughter. He definitely wasn't sure that he was ready to settle down. And the crazy thing is, even today, even after asking her to marry him, those same concerns still remain.
My mother was married 4 times, all right? I don't want to be the guy being stepdaddy here, stepdaddy there. You know, I'm doing a one-time shot here.
Now, completely understandably given their family history, John is nervous about getting married. But the truth is, by this point, after getting down on one knee and asking Meghan to marry him, you'd have hoped that he might have been able to figure out some of those nerves by now. Like, they're now engaged. Meghan wants to start planning her wedding. Now, as John tells Patrick on the phone, he's still not sure he's ready for that. He doesn't think their relationship is strong enough at the moment. Like, they argue so often that how can he confidently take the next step? So it's left to his younger brother to give him some advice. Questionable advice, but advice nonetheless.
If you're going to have fun with it, you know, like once a month, go to a venue. And then you could really drag it out.
Just act like all of the little details of your wedding are really, really important for you, Patrick says. If you pretend like you want everything to be perfect, but you can't find, say, the perfect cake or the perfect venue, that'll buy you a bit of time, and Meghan might even like the fact that you're so actively involved in the wedding planning, Patrick advises him. And you can almost see the light bulb moment go off in John's head.
So your big plan is for me to keep going to cake shops to find this holy grail of cakes. So I'm keeping her busy because I'll never find the perfect cake.
What could possibly go wrong? Like, John himself admits that this is the stupidest idea he's ever heard, and yet it's worth a shot. Like, he decides to go along with it. And when we next join him a week later, he's putting that plan into action. Now, the thing is, it's actually kind of sad to see how excited, how oblivious Meghan is to this. Like, just look at her, poor, naive Meghan. She's so excited that John has taken this initiative. She's over the moon that John has organised this cake tasting session.
I was beginning to think he might not want to marry me, but yet here we are, cake tasting, so who knew?
Thank you.
Yeah, this is gonna backfire, isn't it? It's massively gonna blow up in John's face. Meghan's gonna feel so humiliated and let down when she finds out his plan, and she is gonna find out his plan. Need I remind you, this is on TV for all to see. Hardly the best way to keep a secret from your fiancé. Now, the pair of them have been engaged for a year at this point, so it does make sense that Meghan is getting antsy, like she wants to plan her wedding, she wants to start. But before she can get too excited, John wants to clarify the terms and conditions. He wants to make it crystal clear he has no intention to pick a cake right away.
I hope you know I'm pretty particular when it comes to cakes. You know, I'm kind of like a cake aficionado. Okay?
Yeah, okay.
Okay. It can't be too dry.
How long long does John think that he can keep that up? Like, how many bakeries can you visit before eventually it starts to become obvious what's going on here? Are you really going to try and claim out of all the bakeries you couldn't find one single cake that fits your criteria, John? Like, immediately, she's no fool, immediately, Meghan is on high alert. She's already suspicious.
Yeah, I just love you and I want to make sure that you are not trying to like avoid marriage or anything like that, because...
No, Babes, I told you I love you and...
You've got to love a woman who knows her guy that well. Meghan has already rumbled John's plan. She knows the guy, she knows his character inside and out. Now, while John continues down the line that he just wants everything to be perfect, he's adamant that it's got to be the best wedding cake ever, Meghan, by contrast, offers another solution. How about we skip all of the little details? And why don't we just cut to the chase? Why don't we just go straight to the courthouse and get married? She suggests. And that leaves John in a tight corner. In fact, feeling the net circle around him, he begins to get quite animated, dare I say it, even quite aggressive in his response.
Meghan, you've already told me you didn't want to go to the courthouse to do it, so how are you going to argue this with them? So,
You need to calm down.
no, but just be honest.
Now, while John tries to frame this argument as him just making sure that Meghan gets what she wants, just be honest, you don't want a courthouse wedding, he adamantly says to her. Ironically, could that actually have been what they ended up doing? You see, there are a lot of suggestions online that John and Meghan may have secretly already got married. These rumours appear to have been ignited when a ring was spotted on John's finger, his wedding finger, in a recent episode of Pillow Talk. Now, of course, that in itself isn't necessarily concrete proof. There's been no confirmation from either John or Meghan so far. But moving away from real life and going back to the episode, Meghan is keen for John to get a move on.
2 years is like max amount of time. I mean, we've already been engaged a year. Like, you have a year left, or like, it has to be over.
Now, that ultimatum, 1 more year or it will be over, actually results in John backing down and saying, okay, it will be within the next year. The thing is, when it comes to these two, rumours really do run wild. I mean, on the one hand, some people think that they're married. On the other hand, a lot of people think that they might have broken up. But what I can say is what we do know as a fact is as of May 12th, 2025, they are still together and going strong, as shown by this Mother's Day video that John posted of him, Meghan and River spending the day together.
We got some games, we got kids, we got all the fun stuff, and family time. Hope you guys have a blessed day. Oh, there's my girls. Come on, girls, don't fail daddy now. Come on, get them tickets. Come on now.
So, despite the rumours and despite John's questionable strategies to try and delay this wedding, it is great to see John becoming a great dad and a partner. Hopefully we'll get that confirmation of a wedding sooner rather than later, because let me just say, I think these two work very well together. Now, one couple that unfortunately might not work so well together, or at least a couple that have a lot of doubts and question marks surrounding them, are Anali and Clayton. So when we catch up with them in this episode, good news is that Anali has not yet cooked one of Clayton's beloved pets like she threatened she might. And in fact, it seems like they've made a few other lifestyle changes since we last saw them.
Since you've last seen us, we moved to Tulsa, Oklahoma just to get away, and we just wanted to try out here.
That's big news! Congrats, guys! It's great to see that after a year of marriage, they now have a couch in their living room and they can move the guinea pigs to their own separate quarters. But I have to ask, there is a question on all of our minds. Does Clayton's mum still live with them? Is she behind a closet door, perhaps?
I'm just gonna show you where my mom stays at the new place. Oh yeah, I forgot she moved out. But that's where she would stay if she were here.
You heard that right, Clayton's mum has officially moved out. But, he goes on to joke, she always has a spot in the cupboard underneath the stairs if she needs it.
Wake up, cousin! We're going to the zoo!
Now, if that's a joke, it hits close to home, doesn't it? Perhaps that's a taste of Clayton's comedic ability, but we'll get to that shortly. For now, the big takeaway is these two are now living on their own. They finally have some space, and that means Clayton now has the opportunity to follow his dreams.
I still have my job as a cybersecurity analyst, but this year I decided to pursue comedy as a career. And this is where I practice my jokes.
He has the room set up like a little stage, complete with microphone and bar stool, exactly the way it would be in, say, a comedy club. Now, you've got to say, this is a good way of actually practicing before going on stage. I'm sure Sarpa would love to have a spot like this. But what with a padded room and Clayton sitting for hours talking to himself in there, to Anali, this reminds her of something altogether different.
Es similar a manicomio.
Huh?
Es similar a un manicomio. Manicon. What do you say in manicomio? ¿Dónde están los locos?
She does kind of have a point. In fact, that's quite funny. But from the sounds of things, Clayton's comedy career has really been taking off lately. In fact, he's excited to be headlining his very first show. Now, while it remains a side hustle, the money he earns from this might also help towards paying for their wedding in Peru. Remember, Anali's family weren't able to make their first wedding. Anali and Clayton had a nice wedding in the States, but as I'm sure you recall, not everything went to plan that day. Anali was very, very late, and Clayton was very emotional. You see, his tears were for his brother, his deceased brother. Sadly, Clayton's older brother Jeremy was killed by a drunk driver. Now, according to Clayton's Instagram caption, the other driver was found guilty of a DWI, but he wasn't convicted of the far more serious charge of aggravated vehicular homicide. It was understandably a deeply traumatic time for the whole family, and they felt let down. Quote, "The state failed my brother and our family," he says. So yeah, those memories, not having his brother present on his big day, kind of does explain why he was so emotional. Now, going back to the present day and their future wedding in Peru, well, hopefully the whole day will run a lot smoother. Hopefully Anali won't be late and Clayton can be happy throughout. When it comes to the matter of his stand-up comedy helping to fund it, Anali is keen that Clayton doesn't get ahead of himself.
Use your hobby.
¿Sabes qué? Que si no crees en mí.
Yo no dije que no creo en
Ya,
ti.
solo te digo, si no crees en mí,
No.
yo te pruebo.
Now, Anali tries to reassure him that she does believe in him, but she just doesn't want him to make a big career change overnight. But to Clayton, this isn't overnight. He's been dreaming about this for years. Having a show that he's headlining is a pretty big deal. Like, that is a pretty significant step in maybe one day making that a future career for him. But at the same time, it's pretty clear that he's putting a lot of pressure on himself. Pressure that doesn't exactly help things. You see, when we join him on stage for his big event, it looks like the occasion might have got to him. His opening routine really doesn't go too well.
My wife wants me to take her on vacation, so I keep doing things that will put me on the no-fly list.
Now, while his first few jokes are a bit of a bust, and in fact that's something that Anali takes a bit of pride in telling him, eventually as he relaxes into it, he gets going and people begin to laugh. Now, you can clearly see that since this was filmed, he has been making quite good progress. As we can see from his social media, he shares some of his routines with his followers, including using his time on the show as material for some of his jokes.
My wife famously had a bachelorette party on national television. Don't look it up now, look it up later. And I had to watch as a knockoff Robert Downey Jr. They know he looks like Robert Downey Jr., dressed as an immigration officer. And they know he started elephant trunking my wife's face. In front of 4 million live viewers on a Sunday night, the Lord's Day.
Now, unfortunately, as far as social media is concerned, these two do seem very strict about what they share. They definitely keep their private life private. It's interesting, isn't it? All those people who thought that Anali might only be with Clayton for a green card, all those accusations against her that she was only on the show not because she loved Clayton but actually because she wanted clout, might now have to eat humble pie. I mean, it speaks volumes that unlike almost every other person who's ever appeared on this show, Anali chooses to make her profile private. I'd suggest that's hardly the actions of someone seeking clout or social media fame. And as for Clayton and his social media, well, he's not particularly active either, while most of his most recent posts are about his comedy. When it comes to trolls or criticism, Clayton isn't afraid to give as good as he gets. Quote, I love it when people comment on my stuff, even those with no electrical activity in the brain like you, he says in response to one troll. I don't even know you, but you can't wait to go out of your way to hate on me, right? That sounds very lifeless. Without even knowing you, I promise your life is more sad than mine is. Like, good for him. He's entitled to stick up for himself. And by the looks of things, even if Anali isn't quite on the same page, Clayton does have some very big goals, some lofty ambitions for the future.
I'm on my way to paying for a wedding, and maybe I can quit my job and do comedy.
No.
So while Anali clearly needs a bit more persuasion that this is the right career path for him, while she doesn't exactly give off the vibe of being a particularly supportive wife when it comes to his comedy aspirations, I think it's nice to see that these two do appear to be doing well, and more importantly, they are laughing together.